Good morning once again. This is Brenda Perryman, and welcome to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33, WHPR, Comcast 20 in Detroit. And this is Domestic Violence Month, right?
It's Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Sexual Assault Awareness Month. It's all domestic violence. It is, but Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And that's a very, very important month because so many people are victims of sexual assault. And with me, I have Tanji Reese. And Tanji is
I'm the Director of Prevention Education for Turning Point.
and
My
Dawn.
name, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
My name is Dawn Subchak, and I am a survivor of sexual abuse.
right. And let's first talk about Turning Point because this is a wonderful, wonderful organization that services victims of domestic violence and sexual assault.
So Turning Point is in Mount Clemens, and we provide, like you said, we provide services to survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. We've been around for over 30 years. A lot of our programs include a shelter that can house up to 52 people. We have counseling, and that's individual and group. We do everything for free. We have a crisis hotline, and we have prevention education, which is the department that I'm over.
So important, so important. And it's located in Mount Clemens.
In Mount Clemens,
So who does it service?
we service everyone. It doesn't have to be in Mount Clemens, in Macomb County or anything. We service everyone.
Absolutely wonderful. And I know there are a lot of people who do a lot reach out to you.
Yeah, actually, we service a lot of people every year. I know our program specifically, we speak to over 6,000 kids in middle schools and high schools. I know our crisis hotline gets over about like 1,200 calls a year. So we've serviced a lot of people. We get a lot of calls.
Now, I've spoken at some shelters. What I noticed, and this is kind of crazy, but it was true, that the women, sometimes they would, after, the talk, or a lot of them would reach back out to their abuser. They would,
Yeah, it happens. An average of 7 times. It takes a person 7 times to even come back. And a lot of stuff goes around with that because I think a lot of people assume that once the person leaves, then the abuse is over and everything is different. But sometimes people do make that choice to go back, and that is their choice. But we always support people and say we can always come back to Turning Point. You can always call us and contact us and talk to
you
us.
don't tell them, if you leave, you can't come back.
No, not at all.
Dawn,
Yes.
were you a person who reached out to Turning Point?
Actually, I was having horrible flashbacks. I had repressed my memories, and I was referred to Turning Point. I had not even heard of Turning Point, but they saved me.
So, what was it? Would you mind talking a little about your abuse? What kind was it?
I was
Physical
It
or
was sexual abuse. I was abused as a child for 11 years of my life, and I had repressed it. And at the age of 35, the memories started coming back due to circumstances, triggers, if you will. And many years later, I had been in and out of psychiatric hospitals. I was suicidal, not sure everything of what was going on with me. And after several years of therapy, I was referred finally to Turning Point, where they totally understood sexual abuse and the ramifications, and what I was feeling was normal, and I was innocent. I had a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that is no longer there, and I thank Turning Point for that.
how long ago was this that you came to Turning Point?
I began having horrible flashbacks December 2012, and I believe by January 2013, I was in Turning Point.
Oh, so somewhat right that next month.
Right, but
Oh.
now I had spent years in therapy and
Right.
years in psychiatric hospitals.
Isn't that something? How you could spend that time with professionals in therapy, and then you go to Turning Point. It kind of opens.
It was a miracle, and I believe everything happens in God's timing. So for whatever reason, it took this long, but I've learned so much And again, I am so thankful to Turning Point. They helped me find a release to get all that anger and all that shame and all that dirtiness out. And it was actually through painting. My therapist and I started talking about it.
And we want to show some of your paintings in just a few moments. I want to kind of get back to Tanji because I want it's kind of lights on something that Dawn says. Sexual abuse can start at what age?
It can start at any age. It can the youngest kind we've ever seen at Turning Point was actually a 3-month-old baby girl. So
3 months.
as young as possible, it can happen, you know. And there is no age, I think, for sexual assault or for domestic violence. It's no age.
No, I know. And I wanted you to say that because some people say, well, it doesn't happen, you know. And it's unfortunate that there are predators out there. And a sexual assault is not just limited to females.
No, it's
males. Males also.
You're right. It can happen to male or female. It's 1 in 4 women will experience sexual assault at some point in their life. And for guys, it's 1 in 6 before the age of 18. So a lot of times it's guys who are younger. You know, and we have to always remember, too, that it's about power and control. You know, that's what's the main thing is about. It's about someone who may have lost some power in their life and they want to get that power in another way.
And they take advantage of someone who's less able to fight them and so forth.
Right.
Now, how do you go about talking to the young people about prevention?
So what we do is we try to make it as honest as possible, and we also try to make ourselves as open as possible because we know it's a taboo subject and it's not always easy to talk about. So we utilize education, we do role plays, and we allow them to ask us questions. So, you know, we say we're open. You know, I've heard the craziest things. I'm sure you won't surprise me with anything that you say. And they're really responsive to it, too.
Absolutely. You know, as a teacher, sometimes, you know, in the drama class, we have a little extra time and we'll start talking. And it's like some of these young people are waiting to tell somebody. They want to tell somebody what has happened to them or how they told about something about their stepfather or something and the mother wouldn't listen. Do you get a lot of that?
Yeah, we do sometimes. We do. Sometimes we have people who will disclose to us after we have talked to them. Sometimes we have, you know, someone who might have known someone else. And that's something that we always bring up. Like, we all, you know, if we don't know anyone who has been sexually assaulted right now, at some point as you get older, you may know someone. And so it's important to know what to say, how to talk to someone, and how to get resources and get help.
So what kind of staff do you have at Turning Point? I mean, you have people like yourself.
Yeah, so we have educators. We also have therapists. So that is who Dawn.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
We have teen therapists too. So for sexual assault and domestic violence.
Teen therapists? You mean therapists who deal with teens?
Yep.
Mainly.
Yeah, therapists who deal with teens.
I was wow. I said, wow, these kids are smart. You know.
And we also have shelter staff too. So we have people who work in our shelter and support us, and we also have Secondhand Rose, which is our secondhand store, and we have people who work in there too.
Oh, your secondhand store?
So we have a secondhand store where actually people who stay in Turning Point in our shelter can actually shop there for free. So we always accept donations at our secondhand store too, and the proceeds go to support Turning Point programs.
Oh, I may have some donations for you.
Okay.
Really? Now, Tanji, what got you interested in this?
Well, actually, when I was in high school, Miss Perryman, we did a teen traveling play called Into the Light, and I started doing that when I was in 10th grade, and I kept doing it until we ended about like my senior year in acting classes, and I always had a passion for it after that.
We toured to schools all over.
Yeah, so it was like my start in prevention was touring to schools, different places. I played in the play a survivor of domestic dating violence, so I was in a abusive relationship, and the part of it that we still do at Turning Point is really, it mirrors a lot of it. Is we talk about, you know, what can happen, what does it look like, it's a slow process, and how this starts. Is it doesn't happen overnight, and we talk about warning signs. So that started in high school, and throughout college I took courses that, you know, still educate me
related
more,
to it
about social issues, and I've been at Turning Point since I graduated from college.
Isn't that excellent?
Isn't
that excellent? Became her passion. You never know, but the thing that we felt was valuable was teens teaching teens
Right.
at that time. Now, Dawn, you said that therapy through not only talking to your therapist, but painting was important. Can you quickly show us some of the paintings?
Yes.
Because we want to get Lynn on in just a few minutes.
This one is called Acceptance, and that was when I came to peace with my childhood.
You came to peace with your childhood.
Yeah, it's like Big Dawn and Little Dawn together in the picture.
Oh, you as the young person and you as the adult.
Walking into the sun.
Very nice, very nice. Very symbolic.
And this one is just, I would like to call it the sign of sexual abuse. It's a child that wants to speak, but she can't because the teddy bear, which represents innocence, is over her mouth, but she's praying that someone sees her eyes. And as you can see down here, there are hands that are the abuser's hands.
It's like she's in jail.
She is in jail. She's in prison.
In prison. Oh, boy.
And this one is just one that represents a night like any other night when I was a child. But there is a face in there because I never knew what night my abuser would enter my room.
Oh, that's so shameful. Really. That's so shameful. And next, what we want to talk about briefly is if somebody wants to reach out, would you please tell them how?
Yeah, so our crisis hotline is probably the best way to get access to all of our services. So that number is 586-463-6990.
Let's say that again.
586-463-6990. And our other office for counseling is 586-463-4330.
And Dawn, what are you doing now? What is your focus?
I have a passion to give survivors hope that there is another side, and it is a beautiful
Excellent.
side. It is a wonderful side, and I am glad I decided to fight and win my freedom from that horror that I endured as a child. I also want to encourage therapists to never give up on their patient. It took me 20 years to finally reach this point of freedom, and every day I want to go outside and dance.
Oh,
and
that's
thank
great.
the Lord and thank Turning Point.
Great. Well, we're going to go to a break, and we're going to have Lynn come on in just a moment and talk to us some more about Turning Point and this great event that's coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
Thank you so much.
Good morning again, and welcome to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33, WHPR, Comcast 20 in Detroit. And with me, I have Lynn Wilhelm, who's also with Turning Point. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me, Brenda.
And what is your position with Turning Point?
I am the development director with Turning Point.
Now, development director. Tell my audience what the development director does.
Well, at work they call me the Fund Development Director, FUN. But really what I do is I help bring the monetary proceeds to our organization so we can still, continue to provide our programs and services.
Yeah, because those services don't just dump in your lap. You have to buy them, pay. You
Absolutely.
have to, and then a lot of your services are free.
All of our services are free, which really is a challenge for us because, we depend on donors, we depend on government funding, of course, and a lot of our big foundations and grants that we get throughout the city and the community. So it's always an ongoing situation that we need to continue to get funds for. We have about a $2.5 million budget. I just wanted to say we just came off of a $3 million campaign to build a brand new facility in Mount Clemens. So we have a beautiful, beautiful facility that houses about 52 people that are in need. So
Now,
we've been doing
these
great
are
things.
women. Do you take in their children too?
Yes, we do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have up to, like I said, 52 people. They can be individual families. We have 13 suites. In the past, we just came from over a 100-year-old facility where people were living together. They didn't have the privacy, and as you can imagine, overcoming the stresses of domestic violence and sexual assault, we've had a big change with our new facility. We're very, very proud of it.
And how long do these women stay?
Well, it depends on their situation. There is not a cookie cutter situation for anyone, so depending on what their needs are, we provide that for them. And as Tanji was saying, we have many programs and services to offer to get them out of that situation and getting them moving toward a better life.
Yes, because a lot of them are probably working too.
Yes, and you know what? It's really interesting because domestic violence comes with it another layer of homelessness. A lot of women leave their homes with nothing on their backs. They take their children. They're in fear, obviously. So there are many, many things that they have to overcome. We also have what we call the Community Advocacy Program, CAP. And after people leave housing, or after they leave shelter, they need these resources to be able to continue. So we have a program with interns from Wayne State University, Baker College, that help our women get the resources they need for whatever reasons they need, housing, jobs.
Now,
and
what
so
do they
forth.
do about the children in school?
Well, we have tutoring on site, or if it is allowed and their circumstances allowed, we try to get them to stay at their own schools, or we do have circumstances that we work with the Mount Clemens School District. So
Okay, that's great.
absolutely.
That is great because there's already an upheaval.
Yeah.
So if you could just lessen some of the upheaval and the kids are still learning, be it at Mount Clemens or their home district, but sometimes the home district is kind of
Right.
difficult because the abuser knows where the children are
Right.
and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And do you have a legal person on staff?
We do not. I'm sorry, we do. We do have people staffed at our PPO office at the Mount Clemens Court. So when people come in and they need to navigate throughout the system, we have people that can support them, actually go to court with them. So that's another layer that's very, very hard for a lot of people to go through, and we have that support for them.
Well, you're having a big event.
We are.
Tell us about it.
Well, we have an event called Spirit of Leadership. It will be held on May 15th at Sicaro's in Chesterfield Township. And at this event, we honor 3 people in our community who have been exceptional, not only supporting Turning Point, but just exceptional in the community. This year, we're honoring Sarah E. Lee, who owns Lee Elena Funeral Homes in our community, and she's very instrumental in fundraising for a lot of organizations. We have Pastor Roger Fascione, who is with Mount Calvary in Warren, and he has been very instrumental in helping the people in that area. We have a pilot program in Warren at his church helping people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so he's been great. And then our
How
last
has that program been received, a pilot program?
overwhelmingly awesome.
Oh, great.
To say the least. A lot of people don't have the transportation available to get to us at Turning Point in Mount Clemens, so we have taken it to them. So it's been very, very
So
wonderful.
if somebody was closer to Warren, what would they have to do? They would call Turning Point in Mount Clemens, and then you'd
They-
refer?
Yes, absolutely.
That's important.
Absolutely.
I stopped you there because that's really important.
Yeah.
And who is your keynote speaker?
Our keynote speaker this year, who we're so thrilled to have, is Kim Worthy, who is the Detroit prosecutor.
Wayne County
prosecutor, I'm sorry.
Wayne County Prosecutor Kim
Yeah.
Worthy.
Yeah, and she is fantastic. If you've ever heard her speak, which
Oh,
I'm
yes,
sure you have.
yes.
Spirit of Leadership obviously is about leadership, but she's also going to come in and talk about the problems that they faced with the hidden rape kits and how she's overcoming that and bringing that into the foresight and taking care of that. So we're just thrilled to have her. Our executive director, I can't remember his name now, executive manager Mark Hackle will be there too.
Oh, I
his
thought he
support.
should have run for governor, honestly.
Oh,
I like him. I've
don't
always
leave him
liked
out.
him.
Don't leave him out. He'll probably be that.
Right,
something
no,
else, but
I've liked him
he's-
since he was sheriff. I mean, I just like this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have him on the show. and tell him. But anyway,
Sure would love that.
so I like I like a lot of the things that are going on in Macomb County, and Turning Point is one of the things I love because of what you're
Thank you.
doing. It seems to be an organized formula.
Yes.
I mean, it's organized. It seems to be organized.
Yes. There
That's
is a
so
process.
important.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
so important, and I would like people to be able to know they can reach out. Can I have that number again?
Yes, our emergency hotline is 586-463-6690, or our regular phone is 586-463-4430. They can schedule appointments with our advocates or get more referrals and that type of information through
Now,
there.
what are some of the kinds of calls, or do you know what are some of the kinds of calls that you get?
Wow. Well, we get a lot of people calling in for resources on what to do after they leave their situation. Obviously, we get a lot of emergency calls.
Do you get them where people haven't left yet and they are trying to?
Yes. It's very, very hard for a person to leave their situation for all sorts of reasons. But Brenda, we get 12,000 calls a year. So if you can imagine all the different circumstances surrounding that, it's quite a process.
Yes, I know it is, and 12,000.
12,000 a year. And we can only help about 4,000 a year because of funding. So we certainly need our sponsors and people to attend our events. So hopefully we will see a lot of you
I
at the
think
Spirit of
you
Leadership.
also need more satellite satellite facilities also.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because of how well you're organized, and you seem to have a list. You can be a resource to people who just want information. What do you think I should do next?
Yeah.
Who can I reach out to?
Yeah, people should visit our website too.
Oh, yes.
You know what's really interesting about our website that I want to let you know too is if you go on there and you are in a situation, there's a panic button to press and it'll automatically go off of your computer so nobody can see where you've been. So, you know, if people are afraid to use their computer and look that up, they have that option, which is really, really helpful for a lot of people. And all of our services, all of our information is on that website. And I'll tell you what it is. It's www.turningpointmacomb.org.
Turning Point Macomb, MACOMB, right?
Yes.
.com. Is
Dot
it-
.org.
.org.
Yeah.
Okay, .org. My mistake. I should have known that.
That's
I should have
okay.
known. And Turning Point has been in existence about 30 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just coming up on about almost 35, I think. Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, so we've been around for a long time. And you know what's really interesting, too, is that you were talking about getting the word out. I think someone said they didn't hear, I think Dawn said she didn't hear about Turning Point. We have been really taking a stance in the community to get out and talk about our organization. You know, domestic violence and sexual assault was thought of as a stigma for a really long time. People weren't talking about it. But we're all about empowering people and talking about the situation and making sure that people go, yes, it does exist. There are no lines. It happens in every socioeconomic situation, and we're just trying to make a difference.
And it's funny, you can talk to any crowd, and somebody there or several people have been victims of sexual assault or domestic violence. So this is just a tremendous organization, and that's www.turningpointmacomb.org.
Yes.
And I'd like to thank you so much. And how can we get tickets to the event?
All of the information is online,
Okay.
so please give us a call or go online and you can purchase
Kim
your ticket
Worthy
there.
is just worth the price of
Absolutely.
admission, she's
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you back at 1 o'clock where we'll be stirring the pot on Table Talk with Brenda Perryman. Thank you.